I feel like we're just excited. We got tired of just playing against each other, so it's always exciting to play somebody else new. So yeah, I just can't wait to this moment and see what the future holds for us. I feel like we have a bright future for sure.
Kobe, what did y'all take out of kind of y'all's preseason scrimmages that you had against A&M, Gonzaga?
Really, just we gotta stay connected all game. Start off hot and then finish strong. We really just, we just looked at the film, we broke it down, and just we saw the areas we need to work on. We've been working on those areas in practice, so I think come our first game, we'll have everything like settled and figured out.
Kobe, obviously you suffered that broken nose during practice. How are you health wise? And are you gonna have to wear that mask during any games this season?
Yeah, I got out the mask like 2 weeks ago, so I've been at full health, no problems.
In terms of those closed door scrimmages that Bryce was talking about, how much does playing another top team like you did prepare you for Auburn and starting out with a Power Five team right away?
Yeah, like I was saying, there was a lot of things that we had to fix, especially being tested early to see where we were. But we just took the good and the bad from it, and just we're going to carry it over to the first game.
Jayden, what do you think the strength of this team?
The strength of this team? I feel like the strength of this team is our team chemistry off the court. I feel like we bond very well together. Like everybody throughout the whole team has, a bond with each guy. So I feel like that's going to take us a long way in our toughness and togetherness throughout the whole team and throughout the whole season for sure.
Jayden, how much does that help in terms of so many new pieces? How does that help maybe even on the court, y'all blending together, the off-court relationship? How does that transition to on the court?
I feel like we just know each other well. We can talk to each other, trust each other. Feel like we build trust and, just motivate each other as well throughout the whole season. Just when one another is doing bad or down, we be able to lift them up. So I feel like we always just one man down, next man up. So I feel like we just been helping throughout the whole season.
Curious for both of you, what do you know about the state of South Dakota?
I think it's cold, right? I do
I
know
ain't
it's
never
cold, but
been.
that's it.
Yeah, I ain't never been in South Dakota.
Jayden, how good is this dude here?
He doesn't know it, but I always tell him like he's good. And now that I feel like he's just showing areas of his game that that he hasn't showed, but he just showing them in practice. So once he be able to show it to like the whole world, it's just gonna show him that whoever doubted him and underrated him, I feel like he better than what he is for real. He just doesn't know it yet, but he is though.
Jacoby, how excited are you to get out there as a freshman? And I mean, obviously you've had the foreign trip and the scrimmages and stuff, but real game.
Well, I'm super excited. Just coming on my visits and stuff, seeing the college environment and the energy in games. So now just gonna be able to be in the game. I'm just super excited. I've been looking forward since summer. Been looking forward the past couple of days. I love the energy in gym. So just to be able to play in it finally, I'm like too happy.
Jayden, for you guys, what's the energy like ahead of the season opener on ESPN against Auburn with the whole world watching?
I feel like it's great. It's gonna be great energy for the game, but leading up to that game, in practices have been very competitive throughout this whole week. So I just feel like that's gonna lead us, in the right direction for the game. Have us prepared for sure, mentally and physically.
Anything else? Jacoby, is there anyone who's given you a good piece of advice in terms of that adapting to the difference between maybe what you've seen in high school versus what you'll see when you play that first college game?
Yeah, the veterans on the team, like Nunn, he's been in this situation. He played when he was a freshman, so he's been in these situations. But just keep your composure. Really, that's what they've been telling me. Just keep your composure. Don't try to do too much. Just stay within your game. Just because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to get the win. So it's not about us; it's about the whole team. So just keep your composure and just do what you got to do to win.
Jayden, that backcourt group as a whole group, how elite is that whole group?
The whole group, I feel like it's very elite. I really didn't know it was gonna be this elite. But after working out with these guys, every day, just competing with them, it's just been very elite. It's very competitive throughout the whole practice. But I feel like that's just only gonna make us better. I feel like not a lot of schools have a backcourt like we do. And that much depth. So I feel like that's gonna take us a long way for sure.
We talked to you a few weeks ago, and I think one of the things you mentioned was you felt like defense will be a strength of this team as well.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah, I feel like in practice we all, we good, so we all good offensive scorers, so it's gonna be hard to stop one another. But I I feel like we're not going to play a lot of teams who are like us. So I feel like we're going to be able to get them stops because, we had the length at the rim, throughout the bigs, and we have great perimeter defenders, throughout the guards as well in the wings. So I feel like we're going to be good defenders for sure.
Jayden, in what ways are things different here than maybe at your previous school?
The change, I really just had to adapt to a change of defense that Baylor has. I feel like VCU is just a little more aggressive, but it's more tiring. So I feel like here, it's still aggressive. So, but like different coverages, like drop coverage, we didn't play that at VCU, and just trying to get over ball screens. And sometimes we switch, and, just the zones that they have is very different, So I had to just adapt to it. It's very new, but I feel like I have adapted to it like very well so far. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the great thing is when you have a chance to play scrimmages, and the advantage to scrimmages over exhibition games would be that you get to do more than 20-minute games or 40-minute game. So allows you to go longer. You can work on situations if you want to. And then with that, the downside is you don't get to play in front of the fans, put on the uniform, and get that dress rehearsal. But with us, we had 2 quality scrimmages, and against A&M, which returns a lot, so that should help us. And I thought we got a lot better from that week to the Gonzaga scrimmage. And in the scrimmages, the only thing you're hoping for, though, is you got everybody healthy so you can start to figure out rotations, lineups, and whatnot. But we're definitely a better team from those. At the same time, I think that's why early in the season, coaches, if we sent some of those practice films out, people would want to know what we do. They could actually see we do hopefully make things better, because you always have a lot of turnovers early in the year. And you look at our roster, especially with only one returning player that played over 20 minutes last year. I know that's a concern going against Auburn, who's returning 5 of 7, 5 of their top 7, and that gives you a big advantage early in the year for sure.
Coach, what do you like about playing a Power 5 opponent right off the bat first game of the season?
Well, I think first of all that's a national audience, and ESPN game should be the most viewed game of the night, and gives your program a great platform. At the same time, it's a great venue. We've been there, a lot of excitement. Again, coach is always going to get nervous about certain things, and with a lot of new guys, definitely after that game, we'll be able to have things exposed that we maybe don't see each and every day in practice against ourselves.
What have you told them about South Dakota, the ones who haven't been there?
Bring a jacket. No, they all know it was a great environment last year, and fans really do a good job with everything up there. And I mean, everyone's always excited for the first game of the year, let alone a big stage like this. And one thing you kind of take for granted being in our program is playing on national TV and being possibly and a lot of times the best game of the day, and everyone's talking about it, and people come into the program haven't had those opportunities per se yet.
What would you say to a Baylor fan that would say, what can we expect out of Jacoby Walter?
Hopefully a lot of made threes. But Jacoby is a blessing to coach each and every day. I think if they have grandkids, kids, they ever get a chance to spend any time with them, that's a great person to emulate. He's a student athlete. He's outstanding in the classroom. He's great in the community. He's got a great work ethic. Somebody plays within himself. Doesn't try to do too much. At the same time, he is a freshman, so like most freshmen, it's a different level and takes a little time to get used to. But he's somebody that you'll never walk out of a game and say, I wish you would try harder. I mean, he always gives you everything he has, and he's a joy to coach.
You kind of touched on it, but just with all these new players, obviously that's kind of been the trend. And what have you guys done to adjust to getting the new roster ready to go year by year?
Well, first and foremost, hopefully passing each other, not the other team as much. And that was in the two scrimmages, were way too many turnovers was probably the biggest takeaway as far as the area we need to get better at right away. And as we all know, chemistry, experience that comes from playing in games with each other. And nowadays in college basketball, you don't have a lot of times where players are together 3 and 4 and 5 years anymore. So making everything we do as simple as possible and hopefully put them in positions to be successful. Again, early on in the season, as a coach, you'd much rather go into a game returning more than less, but it's a great opportunity, us playing against Auburn, and they're a team that's had Final Four success, and we'll learn a lot about ourselves from playing a veteran team like that.
Kind of going off of that, Jayden was talking about how one thing you noticed is how close this team is. Can you talk a little bit about what you've noticed, just chemistry-wise so far?
Yeah, I think each and every year our staff has done an amazing job trying to bring in people that represent our culture and stand for our culture, and people that the Baylor family can be proud of, cheering on, and hopefully being great role models for their kids in the community. At the same time, sometimes some teams are just closer than others, and this team seems to be a team that gets along and spends more time together. Doesn't make the other teams different. Sometimes guys spend more time with a girlfriend or alone time. This group seems to really enjoy hanging out more and enjoy one another. Really enjoyed working with them, and now it's time to go through the fire together.
Coach, in terms of that first game, a lot of times when you play maybe a school where you might be up 20-30, I assume early games you are ready to get everybody in. And
Yeah, we would take that. Any game of the year, but go ahead. Yeah.
A little wider, but
Yeah.
the game against Auburn, do you have to tighten the lineup
Yeah.
quickly?
That's a great question. One of the things that's probably the biggest strength of this team, besides chemistry, is and their character makeup, is probably the depth. And we got 11 guys that you can put out anyone at any time, and they can help the team. So one of the things for us coaches is the hard part is, again, besides Jayden, none of them played over 20 minutes in a game. And sometimes people are better in practice. Sometimes they're better in games. We've had 2 scrimmages against other teams to see that. But, I mean, we know we play a lot more than 2 during the year. So I would assume it's going to take us a while to figure out what rotations are the best. At the same time, with that, if you have injuries or illnesses, I know that's a luxury to be able to put someone in and not have to worry about there's a drop-off. But, again, I think first couple non-conference games and first half of the season, you're going to be trying to figure out more than not. It's easy when you return 7, 8 guys. You have a much better idea of what and who's in your rotation and who you're going to and what they can do in crunch time. We got basically even the returning guys, it's different roles for them and different opportunities for them.
You had some great three-point shooters move on after last season, but you might be better in other areas offensively. What are you feeling about the balance of this team at that point?
Yeah, I think last year's team offensively second best in the nation, second best that we coached, I think, in our 20 years, and really offensively capable. This group, probably because of size, length, hopefully better, and with the more veteran and people we brought in, better interior. And, so defensively, hopefully you have more tools and more opportunity to be successful. Offensively, I think each team has different strengths. This team's a little bit better getting into the paint, getting to the rim, getting fouled. At the same time, we do have people capable of making the three, but probably more balance on offense than last year.
Scott, you've had some great backcourts, but at this much depth, do you remember one that had this much depth in the backcourt?
Yeah, I don't know if we've had this much. I guess the big thing will be how we perform in games from the standpoint. in practice. It looks really good. That's why you play games. So, and I think we'll figure stuff out from there. And what it allows is you'll allow someone to have an off night and somebody to step in. And this is where it'll be more challenging for the coaching staff is to play those guys that are playing better on those nights. And that's why you really need great team chemistry for when it's not your night or you're not playing well and someone else is. It's a little different when, hey, these are our top 6 or top 8, and every night this is who you're playing when you're playing them. The luxury of having depth is you're going to have different people that can help you. The flip side is it's harder for people that one game you might play 30 minutes and be leading scorer, and the next game that might not be there, and you got to be a great teammate and help the team.
Coach, a little bit off the path, but coaching against Bob Knight, what do you remember? Any story stick out to you when you coached against him in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I remember back in the Valpo days, we played in Indianapolis, and after the game, my mom and dad were talking, and Coach Knight grabbed my dad and used my mom to illustrate, all right, if you're coming off this down screen, this is how you want it positioned. And anyway, my dad always talked about how Coach Knight was really gracious and spent a little time, and then he said he made Mom a better player. So like he did a lot of people. But we've known the Knight family from Indiana to what they did at Texas Tech, and I've known Tim Knight and Pat Knight, and Pat has had a great career in the professional ranks since he's left college in the front office, and we see him at practices each and every year. And a lot of people have implemented a lot of things that the Knight family has brought to college basketball and to basketball in general. So they've done a lot for the sport.
Obviously, Auburn hasn't played a game yet, but when you look at a Bruce Pearl-led team, what does that kind of look like? What do you expect?
Yeah. Well, I think whenever you start with a Coach Pearl team, you start with a team that is going to play hard, going to play tough, but most of all, they're not going to beat themselves. Like, you're going to have to beat them, usually a team that runs, and you got to do a good job with staying in those runs. It's going to be a typical Power 5 SEC Big 12 matchup, real physical. So, again, for us, a lot of new guys, first time under the lights like this. They get to bang with someone else, so that's really exciting. And, again, when you play a team like this, if there are weaknesses, they'll get exposed. And if there's areas you got to improve, it'll be exposed. And what you do well, you know that you've earned. So it's a great early season test.
And then 2 years ago, would you have ever thought that Jeremy Sohan could play the point guard?
Well, and I didn't think they'd have a 7'5" four-man either, or whatever he is. So yeah, but obviously we're really proud of Jeremy's growth, and he's always been able to defend 1 through 5, and he's always played some point guard for us, especially in the Kansas game here at home. But he's done a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.